I'm gonna make a yellow split pea soup. This is a meal in one. Everything in the bowl with potatoes, beef, garlic, celery, carrots, fresh corn, and onion. And I'll explain why I'm using hamburgers. If you want to use another cut of meat, you'd have to cook it for, you would not buy a beautiful piece of steak and put it in the soup. You would buy like stew meat, and that takes well over an hour to cook. So we're going to cook the hamburgers a little bit, and that only takes a few minutes. And then the time it'll take is the time it takes to cook the split peas. And chicken stock. Why chicken stock when it's beef? Because I don't want the pea soup to get any darker. First thing we're going to do is cook the hamburger meat. And if you're using lean beef, you won't have this problem. But it's not a problem. If you use good hamburger meat that has fat, as this does, we're going to saute it. And we're not going to break it up a lot because I want to have pieces of chopped meat in there to remind me of biting down on pieces of boiled beef. So we're going to saute this, and if there's a lot of fat in the pan, we'll just drain this, and then we'll sweat up the vegetables a little bit in the pan. Just let that cook. Don't have to season this now, because it's a soup. So you can wait to season it at the very end. High flame. No oil is necessary. There's enough fat in most hamburgers that you can saute this with no problem. So just keep on going like this. It's going to be a nice heavy soup too, with the potatoes, and something which I'm going to put in there and cook in the soup. I hope there's enough room. The corn, instead of cutting the kernels off the cob first, I'm going to cook the cob, the whole corn right in here. Just like cooking steak on the bone. Tastes sweeter. Corn should taste better if the cob is boiled in here too. So we'll just cook this until the red is gone. Now that's good enough. And I just broke it up enough where you have, when you're eating the soup, you'll have chunks of meat in your mouth. Now I'm going to put this in a colander to drain off all that grease. Now we'll add the onions and the potatoes and the celery and the carrots. And I already know that the soup is not going to be cooked in this pot. But it's easier to saute in here, and then we'll transfer it. We'll sweat this up. A couple of bay leaves and 1 to 2 teaspoons of this very nice dry thyme, which smells as good as the fresh. So what I'll do, since the flavor that's in this pan I don't want to lose, like when you deglaze something to make a sauce, I'll put some chicken stock in here Or maybe we can cook it in here. I'll know as soon as I add the meat, because all of this is going to shrink up a little. And I think we will try it in here. The only thing I have to add are the peas and the meat. So, okay, it's not going to work. I could tell. What I'll do is right away much better idea. This is like I think a 4-quart. And as soon as that's cooked a little, and I won't lose the flavoring that's in there by just putting some chicken stock in there and waiting, and I will just add this to that. Waste not any flavor. Well, now that I did that, we're going to add the meat. Because it doesn't matter what you do to this chopped meat. You can cook it for a half hour. You can cook it for an hour and a half. It's still going to stay ground beef. Just have to measure the, we're going to reserve this stock in here so I can really measure the amount of stock that is needed for this soup. That's the only part that's not critical, but you don't want to have too much stock in the soup, and you want to have you don't want to have too little. It's always okay to have a little bit more, because then you could just cook it down. Very nice. So now the corn is going to go right here. And about a half hour after the corn, after it's been simmering in there, I'm going to take out the corn. It'll cool, cut the kernels off, put them back in there. Why am I using corn? I go, it's yellow. The split peas are yellow. Corn tastes good. Everything in there tastes good. So why not? When it comes to cooking, you do what you like. And I'm fortunate that all these years of cooking for other people and making little parties in the house, I see what people enjoy. And that's why I'm making the video. Just so people can learn how to cook a little bit and not have to eat that crap that's out there in some of the restaurants and fast food. Okay, good enough. There goes 1 quart, and we're going to add another quart. And of course, we don't want to forget what kind of soup this is. Yellow split pea. Of course, the green is more popular. But I like the yellow, only because it's a little different. So that's 1 quart. Now what are we going to do? We're just going to simmer this. It'll take about 50 minutes, around there somewhat. If you're using a chicken stock, don't use any dry type of chicken stock. If you don't want to make your own stock, a good one to use is the College Inn. And I don't work for them. But the best one to buy if you're going to use it, which is hard to find, which only the top places use, is Miner's brand of bases, all types. And many of the restaurants that make a lobster bisque will just take the lobster base, Miner's lobster base, and make it without any lobster and just add some heavy cream. We're set. That should work out pretty good. As soon as it comes to a boil, I'm going to simmer it, set the timer for 50 minutes, and we'll be back. Well, it's been 50 minutes. The corn has been out. Let's just check this. Now I'm going to take the whip. You can leave it like this, but just take the whip and break it up just a little bit to make it a little creamy. I don't want to puree this, because then the meat will be broken up too fine. Now we're going to bring it to a boil. Just right for the amount of stock with the vegetables and the peas. I'm going to add the corn and season it. Now we'll add the corn. It looks good, it feels good. Now all we have to do is season it. You want to put hot sauce in there, pepper, salt. We're going to put salt. I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of sea salt in there. And a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. When it comes to the salt and the pepper, to your taste. If you're cooking just for yourself, you could eliminate the salt, since we know that it's not that good for you. Cooking for others, try and make it as tasty as possible. Now the consistency is perfect on that. Has a little body. Potatoes break up a little bit and allow this to thicken. Let me taste this before I pass it on. As an item that's complete, it's a complete meal. And it looks, I like the color. I believe that everything worked well together in this. This makes about, let's see, it was 2 quarts of stock. It didn't reduce that much, and with all the vegetables, about 3 quarts of soup. And you still have nice chunks of meat in there. And it really didn't take all that time. I hope you enjoy.